What's up everyone, Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick and I have an album review for you. So one that I had on my radar for the 27th of August was the newest offering from Nunslaughter. Red is the color of ripping death. This comes out on Hell's Headbangers. This band formed in 1987 in Pittsburgh and then pretty much moved to Cleveland where they are based now. This is only their 5th full length. But do not let that fool you. This band has a ridiculous amount of releases, like over 100 in terms of like EP splits, demos, compilations, live albums. This band puts out so much stuff and most of it is awesome. I really am a huge fan of these guys. They play a style of very thrashy death metal, very blasphemous, kind of blackened in some spots, but mostly just kind of a punkier version of Deicide in some spots. And I definitely love Deicide, so naturally this band appealed to me. Now this is the first full length they've dropped since the death of their drummer slash vocalist Jim Sadis, who was a huge part of the band. He was a larger than life figure. Apparently he was like just a super cool dude, and well, he is sorely missed. But the band decided to go on and they have released this absolutely insane, over the top, thrashy death metal album. Now, if you are familiar with Nunslaughter, most of the time you were going to get a short offering in terms of song to song. Most of them are around the 2-minute range. Some of them don't even hit that range. And you definitely get that with the first two tracks, Murmur and Broken and Alone, which just explode. There is no pretense. It just gets to it. Dawn of the Dead, their vocalist, pretty much pukes his guts out and has this really awesome delivery in terms of just this sort of snarling evil tone to his vocals. Production on here is really good. It's very analog, very crisp. I really like the old school feel because this band definitely lurks in like the late 80s, early 90s in terms of their style. Actually, even more so like in the late 80s because this still has a lot of thrash to the sound. And lyrically, well, if you're looking at the album cover, you can guess what they're kind of about in terms of irritating certain groups of people, but they have fun doing it. But it's not always that. Sometimes it's just sort of a vague, dark theme, or you have a song like To a Whore, which sounds like a really horrible breakup song. Either that or it's a story about a guy who was a legit maybe in love with a whore. Sounds like a very intimate relationship, but also not a very healthy one. And I'm a bit of an expert in that, at least I think so. Anywho, back to the review, and I'll just stop with the relationship advice because that is definitely not my wheelhouse. One thing that I really liked about this album, and it's kind of in comparison to other albums of theirs, is this is a little bit groovier in spots. Generally, their albums are bullet train, fast songs, you know, just flying almost at all times and keeping the intensity up. Now, the intensity is never dialed down on here, that is for damn sure. But they do squeeze in a lot of cool groovy pockets on here. Eat Your Heart and The Devil Will Not Stray both labor big groovy sections. Eat Your Heart actually has like kind of a double time bolt thrower groove, and that pretty much just rides out most of the song until it starts exploding into like faster thrashy sections. And The Devil Will Not Stray might have my favorite riff on the album. It opens up with just this big chuggy beast of a riff, and you are pretty much just beckoned to the pit. It has an awesome thrashy bridge to it where Don just completely loses his shit and probably throws up blood all over the audience. That sounds like a lot of fun. And then it loops right back around to that big hooky riff. And that was something I noticed on this album is it's a little bit more hook laden. Now, they know how to craft awesome thrash riffs, awesome death metal riffs. You know, it's kind of a good balance between the two. But the thing that I really liked in here is they kind of stick with some hooks on here. It isn't just, you know, bullet train on in the next song. It's let's keep dry humping this for a little bit. Now granted, the songs are short. I think the longest track, Dead in 10, is only 3 minutes and 39 seconds. That's the long one. But they pack a lot of dynamics into what they do on here. And honestly, it's not as though like it's like super technical or anything like that. They have very few elements that they're bringing to the table on here, but they know how to arrange them well, and they deliver them with maximum intensity and of course fun. This album is a lot of fun to jam if you're a rabid death metal fan like I am and love all that crazy old school shit. It's still very much alive on this album. And of course, me being a sucker for D-Beat Fury, which this album packs plenty of it, the songs The Temptress, again, Eat Your Heart, and To a Whore, Both labor solid D-beat sections. I mean, pure pit spinners. The title track in particular has this great intro to the big pit spinning riff at the end that I love. They isolate the riff and get you ready for it. And by the time that moment kicks into full gear, hopefully you still have all your teeth. Now, interestingly enough, this is death metal that doesn't labor a lot of blast beats. In fact, there's only 2 sections on here where there are blast beats, Dead in 10 and Annihilate the Kingdom of God, which is interestingly followed by Beware of God, which I think naturally you probably should if you just annihilated his kingdom. He's probably a little pissed. Just kidding. There is no God. I like how this album's paced too, because they don't kind of, throw too many songs that sound too similar back to back. They'll break it up with more groove-laden songs, or even do a flat-out more doom-laden song like Casket Lid Creaks, which screams Hellhammer and Celtic Frost in the intro, and surprisingly that's the slowest song on here, and it actually stays slow, because a lot of the slower moments, it's just for the start. Then they just pretty much keep building the energy and just ramp it up to the point where we are just taking off once again. But honestly, I like that. The whole idea, I think, on this album is to keep the intensity going, and whether it just explodes right from the start or ramps it up, the important part is you get to the intense part. And this band keeps it really stripped down too. I don't even think there are any solos on here, but honestly, I really didn't miss them necessarily. Sure, you could squeeze in some squealy dive bombs or, just some quick shreds, but honestly, it's good at what it does. It keeps laboring the riffs, it keeps laboring like really cool song transitions, and it keeps it in this tight, compact, violent format. I absolutely love that kind of shit. Honestly, some of the more technical parts really aren't that technical, they're just a little bit different. There's a cool off-time rhythm in the beginning of Annihilate the Kingdom of God, and Eat Your Heart has like a cool slowdown of the closing riff. Not really technical, but they threw in an interesting little songwriting dynamic, and the whole ethos of this band, while it is death metal, I got a feeling it's kind of like a punk attitude about it. You keep it simple, keep it stripped down, and keep it fucking aggressive. At no point is this not aggressive as hell. Even when they slow it down, it is just in your face. The only thing that I could say that I necessarily maybe didn't like, but it really wasn't like, a terrible thing, was the last track, Below the Cloven Hoof. It kind of just comes off as like an afterthought. It's under a minute. It's just kind of like blackened death grind. It's all right. It's just kind of a short song. And honestly, what they did with the shorter songs on the rest of the album, I think they did a better job in terms of like squeezing in dynamics and like actual hooks in there. This one, it's just, a loud, aggressive song, and it's not really that memorable. And unfortunately, it does close the album. But overall, I really dug this. In fact, it's been a while since I had sat down and jammed any of my Nunslaughter, and I have a handful of EPs, compilation, and at least 3 of the other full lengths. And honestly, in terms of the full lengths, I really like this one possibly the most. This is really good. I love the riffs. It's just energetic as hell, and of course, evil, but in a fun way. So overall, I'm going to give this 4 stars. This is a killer album. Front to back, really is not any bullshit on here. This is just about delivering killer riffs, solid dynamics, but keeping it simple and keeping it aggressive at all times, and it succeeds. I feel like if Glenn Benton had more of a sense of humor, at least, when it came down to being on stage, this is the kind of thing that he would do. But I'm kind of glad that Glenn is Glenn, because he's a treasure in death metal. But we're not talking about Glenn, we're talking about Nunslaughter. This is an awesome album. If you love thrashy, old school death metal, and you're looking for something ferociously intense and just a shitload of fun, definitely go get this one. I'm probably going to order it not too long after this review, to be honest, much like I do all the time. But yeah, this is totally worth owning. Go out and get it. So if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon, so if you'd like to help us out there, we would much appreciate it, and there is a link below in the description. We also have shirts available. We are pretty much down to larges, extra larges, a couple of 2Xs, and some smalls. We're going to reload here soon. But if you would like one, hit us up on thrallsofmetal@gmail.com, send us a message, put shirts in there, and we will get back to you, get your information, and hopefully sell you a shirt. We also have a giveaway going on. Once we hit 7,500 subs, we're going to give away a stack of 8 CDs, and one of those is the new Cannibal Corpse with the uncensored artwork. So hopefully that is enough of a draw there. Anyway, to enter, all you have to do is comment on the video for the giveaway, which will be linked down below and should be playing instantly on our channel. Thank you guys so much for getting us this far. It has been a ball so far, and we look forward to keeping you guys entertained because ultimately this is fun and we all thoroughly enjoy it. Metal is our life's blood, and yeah, it's just good to connect with people. So with that, I thank you all for watching, and we will catch you later.